Newsflash is brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. Still, fun papa fee.
Well, this is So Prime Morning. If you just tune in, welcome. This is Prime Morning once again. And is this your first time joining us or watching us on Joy Prime? Well, welcome to the Prime Morning family. We hope that you do enjoy every bit of what we have lined up for you today. My name is Esiedua Akumia. You have already seen my abled co-host for today, Nathaniel Atto, ladies and gentlemen. Nat.
All right, so we begin with the daily graphic. I've got the daily graphic and the Ghanaian publisher, and I believe that you're going to bring us some of the big stories that are coming from the, from the Chronicle. But yeah, it's a wonderful Friday. Loads and loads of stories from, from the past week. I don't know what caught your attention though during the week.
It's obviously the whole back and forth with the OSP and former finance minister. I mean, I had an issue because I really wasn't understanding the reason for publicly declaring him wanted. And later on, before we realized there was a release of an official poster or flyer to indeed,
and you've raised a very important point. Sometimes we take a look at this and we look beyond just these pronouncements and all of that, and how they are recorded adequately.
Right.
Now, beyond the conversations that we had and beyond the declaration of Ken Ofori-Atta being wanted, we then now realize that there was correspondence between his lawyers and the OSP's office.
Yes.
So then it opened up a whole conversation of whys as to why they'd go to that extent. Now, what I believe the OSP, based on what the Director of Research, Sami Dakon, explained some time back, and also the OSP himself explained, there was this sense and this feeling of Ken Ofori-Atta wanting to use that to, there was this suspicion, I believe, that Ken Ofori-Atta wanted to use that situation of his hospitalization and his health status to, beat the process in court, okay? And all of these, once again, as we say, are allegations because he's not been put before a court of law, and nobody has declared him a criminal, if you may put it that way. So, yes, it opened up all sorts of conversations. And then I believe that once the conversation was had on the floor of Parliament by the Minority Leader, Honourable Alexander Afenyo-Markin, about his situation and his itinerary based on what the doctor or what his doctors were saying, then we realized that, okay, based on the projections, he's going to be here in May. Now, one of the things that we're not bringing our minds to is that I'm not a doctor, you're not, but the little we know about medical practice and patient care, depending on what situation it is, it takes quite some time. So in the document, it was indicated that there was a possible, occurrence of surgery. Though there could have been surgery. Now, in the case that there is a surgery, first of all, the patient has to be in a certain state before the surgery is performed. Okay, certain vitals have to be at certain levels before the surgery is performed, depending on what kind of surgery it is.
It is.
Let's also remember that there are moments and time allotted for recovery. Now, depending on your physiological make, depending on what kind of person you are, depending on your body, your blood type, and all of that, there is also a high possibility that you may take a longer time to recover from, the surgery. Now, there's also a possibility of having post-surgery complications, okay? So there is a whole lot of questions that are opened up when this issue of health and this issue of one taking care of his or her health come up. So I believe that, with this particular matter, we need to open up a little more and accommodate, not necessarily be political about it. We as citizens of this country, are looking for answers. We want accountability, there's no doubt about that. And that's the reason why, the people went to the polls and took a decision as to who they wanted to lead this country. And of course, certain promises were made, and all these promises, I believe, will be made manifest and will be fulfilled to a very large extent, depending on how much pressure the people put on government. And at this time, everybody is demanding accountability. So if there is financial impropriety in certain deals that were made or certain deals that were entered into by government or certain spends that we had, then we know definitely that we have a lot to deal with when it comes to going into these cases, prosecuting them, and bringing all those who are liable to book. So let's see how things go. That's what I'll say. Let's see how things go. For us, for me, from where I sit, I believe that it's a very good breather that at least there is a certain clear path. We've been given a certain timeline. So let's see how things go. But let's also be wary. And I'm saying this because medical practice, like I said, has all of its dynamics. So based on patient care dynamics, we could just have an extension beyond the month of May.
What you're saying, 100, I agree with you. But one other problem that I had with this whole process and how everything was handled was if the OSP just need him for questioning because he wasn't being accused of anything. These were just allegations, and they had stated them out, and they wanted, when you mentioned Samedako, yeah, I think, what was it, 2 days or 3 days ago, we had him on Tuesday, yes,
exactly,
on Newsflash, where he stated emphatically that they just want his presence. So they want him to be here so he can answer to the many allegations that have been made in relation to these cases that is being, that sort of being accused of and all of that. So if you just want his presence, why do you have to go to the extent of making it seem like he is a criminal and he is a fugitive? The fugitive word that was used was what broke my heart because it really didn't mix. I couldn't fathom.
The Constitution of Ghana provides for fair hearings for every citizen.
Yes.
When these kinds of cases happen. And the foundations of law itself provide that anybody who is accused, no matter how heinous the crime is, the crime is, or no matter how grave the offense is, must have a fair trial. Must have a fair trial.
That's true.
In a competent court of law. And then based on the processes that will be, rolled out, one person can be determined to be a criminal, or one person may be said to have committed a crime or not. So yes, like I said, and like you've said, we need to go through the processes. We need to follow the due process of the law and get to the bottom of this matter. For me, like I said, there are many dynamics. So let's just be very measured in the way we look ahead to seeing Ken Ofori-Atta sitting somewhere or appearing in Ghana or going through the airport to come and answer to the OSP's office.
Exactly.
So let's see how things go. What is important now is he needs to be in a state of health that can, easily, enable his contribution to everything that is being requested or required by the OSP's office.
Very important, and what you said is so true. And so, our viewers, we are urging you, please get ready to join us on Zoom. The Zoom ID and password are currently on your screen. Pick them up. We want you to use appropriate Zoom IDs. We don't want the iPhone, what sort of techno, It's quite confusing sometimes. So if you can use your actual names as your Zoom IDs, we will be super elated. And when you join, make sure you are muted, please. Be muted until we say your Zoom ID. You cannot unmute. Stay muted, and when we mention your Zoom ID, you quickly unmute, and then we get talking so we can have a very smooth segment this morning. Nathaniel, let's start.
All right, let's begin with the Daily Graphic. And the main story on the Daily Graphic has a headline, 10% pay rise for government workers, and the minimum wage is now 19.97.
I saw that yesterday.
All right, so it has a picture of Dr. Kesia Lato-Forson, the finance minister, together with Honorable Rashid Pelpo, and Benjamin Arthur.
Before you continue, do you think that this 10% rise in minimum wage is laudable?
Well, I'm looking at this from the perspective of the ordinary worker whose take-home salary or whose net salary would now then depend very heavily on these kinds of calculations.
Right.
There are people within a salary tier who go home and are looking at prices, they have to plan their spend, and they have to plan the spending in such a way that the salary, no matter how meager it is, can take them through the rest of the month. And of course, you're also looking at certain pull factors or the dependency, scale. So for instance, if you as Siedwa have a dependency scale of about 4 people, and these people are all drawing from that same salary that you are getting at the end of the month, which is calculated based on this 19.97, then obviously it's coming as a breather. Do remember that President Mahama has a contract, a social contract with the people, and he put these thematic areas under this contract within his first 150 days. So I believe that all of these are going in a direction that, assure people that the economy is one area that's being looked into very, very critically, and certain key areas or certain key drivers would be boosted, if I may use that word, so that inflation comes down to the barest minimum, under the kind of economy that we run, which is a largely import-based economy. Every economy looks forward to being an industrial economy where you're producing more and you're exporting more, so that you draw in more, foreign exchange, as against you using your currency to go and purchase the foreign exchange, to go and purchase from outside and bring it into your country to feed the needs of your economy. So this comes in as very welcome conversations. I mean, who doesn't like pay rises? Pay rises are very important. But you see,
no matter how meek it may seem.
But thing is, even at this stage, it's still, at the minimum. And as we go along and as things improve, obviously, because obviously government would have...
What you're trying to say, you are highly optimistic that it could rise higher than this.
Yes, but all of these are dependent on certain key drivers. Do remember that there are so many pull factors on the resources of government, and salaries are just one of them. Remember that infrastructure plays a very big role in there. Setting up industry plays a very big role in there. Ensuring that the currency is stabilized also play a very big role in there. So all of these drivers are in there, and all of these are drawing, on the government chest. And so for this, it's been addressed a certain way. It's been addressed. It may not be the ideal, but at least it's been addressed a certain way. And it brings a certain breather to people, brings a certain breather. Remember that the first quarter of every year is a very critical period for persons who are within the work bracket or within the employment bracket, because on a regular scale, you'd have people who are working, who have families, and who have various responsibilities to their families. So if you have to do a rough calculation, someone takes a salary home and they have to pay their fees. We all do know the spend trends in the last quarter, especially in December, getting into January. They always say that January is the longest month of the year because you wait and the end of the month never comes. So that really is it. So it's welcome, only that we are looking forward to seeing bigger improvements in the minimum wage. It's always very important. Also here on the front page, Kwame Nasumening is now the head of the Ghana Association of Banks. Now, Kwame Nasumening is the managing director of Stanbic Bank. He brings a wealth of experience to the table. And of course, at the end of the day, what is important is that he's leading very competently the policy direction of the banks. They're looking at the monetary policy and they're positioning themselves well to serve the economy. So it's a very welcome development that Kwame Nasumening, the MD of Stanbic Bank, is now the head of the Ghana Bankers Association. Now, one of the key priorities for him, as the president of the Ghana Association of Banks, is, the digitization agenda. I believe that, the former vice president is one who heavily championed digitization, which goes to satisfy loads and loads of consumer needs. Of course, digitization of banks obviously goes to also help the way transactions are made on a regular day. But going beyond that as well, there are interbank transactions, and all of these are marked by the levels of efficiency. What kinds of systems are driving them, and how efficient are these systems? Those are the kinds of questions we have to be asking ourselves. So that is what Mr. Kwame Nasumenin will be heavily looking at. I do remember the former managing director of Zenith Bank, Mr. Henry Oro, who's now an executive director of the group, of the bank. He was one of the big champions of digitization when it was introduced, especially among the banks, and they did a lot of work. So I believe that the new president will take up from there.
I mean, some way, somehow, looking at how digitization has been introduced at banks, it makes things a lot more easier. Transactions a lot more easier. Now, with a number of banks, you can sit from the comfort of your home, you create an account, and you can even request for a debit card or credit card to be made and delivered to you in your home. Everything through digitization. So one way or the other, it's gearing towards something huge, something big, something very, very positive. And so let's see what he brings to the table at the end of the day in relation to digitization concerning the banks.
We'll go to the back page of the Daily Graphic, which has a major story on housing. Now, the new Minister for Works and Housing and Water Resources, Kenneth Gilbert Ajay, has inspected the Saglemi housing project. We do know that the Saglemi housing project has been a major subject of discussion, especially because of the huge sums of money that have been invested in there. You're looking at 1,500 housing units, which are partially completed, and you're looking at figures around $200 million US. Now, of course, there have been lawsuits as well, and now what is important is that we find a middle ground. For the ordinary man on the street, question is, how much is this, or how much is restoring this project going to cost the ordinary taxpayer, and how much in terms of, would it how much in terms of shock would it give to the budget and the finances as well? But it's very welcome. And you see, this Saglemi housing project in terms of planning, town and country planning, is a very strategic one, because if we're able to replicate this maybe in the second major city, which is Kumasi, and then we extend it to maybe Takoradi and other cities, Tamale and all of that, then we'll be creating a model that can help to decongest the main cities. I mean, you travel, you travel out there, you see the way cities are planned, where, residential units are placed quite a distance away. But of course, that has to be supported by infrastructure, supporting infrastructure like roads, rail networks, and maybe even flights and all of that, So it's very welcome. Let's see its restoration. It's going to cost money, let's remember, because the structural integrity of these buildings will now come to question. They've been sitting there for a while now. I mean, it was revisited in 2017 when the Akufo-Addo government started its work. Unfortunately, nothing was done.
Halted.
Yes, so for all of those with an engineering background, they'll tell you about the structural integrity of all of these buildings and how much needs to be done to restore them and make them safe for, for living in.
That's true, that's true. Anyways, before Nathaniel, are you done with the Daily Graphic newspaper?
Well, not yet. There's another story of fire written by Shelley Eduardo of the Daily Graphic. Just before we go on, there's someone on Zoom. We'll be coming to that viewer very shortly so that he or she can share their views on that particular matter that we're discussing this morning about the OSP and taking the name of the immediate past Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, off the wanted list or the fugitive list. Let's just quickly visit this story on the back page of the Daily Graphic. It's at the bottom of the back page of the Daily Graphic. Fire guts ECG warehouse in Cape Coast, destroys dozens of electrical cable burns. Now, we've been told that about 60 drums of 2 by 25 millimeter aluminium electrical cables got damaged. Now, what I don't see here is the quantification of these these drums, okay, or these aluminum electrical cables. Now, these are everyday necessaries for the ECG in its on-ground operations. So now the question is, how much is this fire going to cost, the incidence of this fire going to cost ECG? And the other question then is, we've recorded quite a number of fires between December and now. We do remember the famous Kantamanto fire, all of the things that have happened in the aftermath. Now, normally what happens within the fire service in terms of procedure is that they will try their best to, dust the fire. And then after that, investigations will be instituted into the cause of the fire. Once that is established, I mean, if it is realized that it was something that was done deliberately by somebody, then we look into the laws, the Criminal Offences Act, and prosecute accordingly.
I actually haven't heard any news in relation to, when we have these major fire outbreaks in public places like this, like the Kantamanto markets that you mentioned.
Yeah.
We were expecting that the moment investigation starts, we're going to hear leads on what really is going on pertaining to the investigation.
I agree with you.
Who could have caused it? But we're not hearing anything.
Yeah, I agree with you, Esidwa. And for me, the public-spirited effort by individuals. You do remember that loads and loads of individuals, for various reasons, most which I would want to believe are on the humanitarian end, went in there. We saw the former vice president, we saw businessmen and women, we saw different politicians go there in turns to give various amounts and give support to these victims. And these structures have been built again. But my question is, what was factored into rebuilding? You see, these traders live by the day. And this is something we realized in the COVID year a great deal, that there are so many persons who function within the economy who live by the day. So these traders, you wouldn't take anything away. If you and I were traders and we're trading in Kantamanto, we'd want to bring our stores back.
Exactly.
And get
that
back.
was what they were mostly concerned about.
But the question is, touch wood again, if another fire should occur, would the fire be able to easily race through, or the needed measures have been made and taken? I haven't visited, I wouldn't boast of visiting the ground.
Right.
So my question then is, what was factored into redesigning or rebuilding those stores?
For there not to be
because one of the big questions that are asked all the time is a fire tender able to penetrate when there's an emergency?
This is very interesting. It's getting very interesting right here in the studios of Prime Morning, and it is News Flash. We have a first Zoomer on. Your Zoom ID is iPhone. Hi, good morning. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, iPhone, that's your Zoom ID. Can you unmute? All right, okay, so you can join us on Zoom. The Zoom ID and password are currently on your screens. And when you come on, please stay muted until we say your Zoom ID name. But I would love for you to change the Zoom ID name into your actual name so we can say it and you know it's you. Because there are probably a number of iPhone, IDs that would join. So if you do that, it would be quite difficult for you to know that it is you that we are mentioning. So just use your name so it becomes very easier for you to know that it is you that we are calling. All right? Okay. So iPhone, that's the Zoom ID. Are you back? Oh, hi.
Good morning.
Can you please unmute so we can hear you? Hello?
All right, kindly unmute so we can hear you. Kindly unmute. Yes.
Yes.
Very well. Great.
I'm now on.
Yes, you are now on. Kindly talk to us. Good morning to you.
Good morning. I said what?
Yeah, hi.
That's what.
Okay. Nam. Is that it? Did I say it? I respond with Nam, right?
Nah.
Nah. Okay. I tried remembering. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yes. Hope you're well.
Oh, I'm doing well.
Okay. Okay. I'm doing awesome. Nathaniel is doing awesome as well. Talk to us.
Okay. In fact, so far so good.
Okay.
With the moves of the new distant government trying to increase wages and salaries, I think it will be better for those who earn monthly.
Okay.
In fact, we pray that even though it's 10%, but we were hoping it's more than 10%.
Oh, okay.
So maybe bit by bit.
Yes, we are taking a step at a time.
Yeah. And it's like I had a discussion about Ken Ofori-Atta issue too. Well, this issue, I don't know. I just hope Ken is back.
Right.
They question him.
Yeah.
Then we all know what is going on. So that it wouldn't be like Let's witch hunting or political hunting or
Yeah.
whatever hunting. By the way, let me extend my greetings to Asia Sajida. She's the CEO, the new appointed CEO of Student Loan Trust Fund.
Okay. All right.
And my senior comrade, Alhaji Bengu Bushel, is available.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your contribution this morning. We hope to see you again next week, Friday.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Well, interesting. Let's roll on with the stories in the Daily Graph. Quite a number of stories there. Now, Mary Awilana Ada, who is the Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, is addressing certain key issues with the operation of the National Health Insurance Scheme, which is now headed by Dr. Victor Bampo, my good friend. Dr. Victor Bampo used to be the Deputy Minister of Health in the previous Mahama administration. Now, she says corruption risk factors affect the operation of NHIS. Now, when you get into the space of the NHIS, we do realize that, some years ago, the scheme almost crashed because when you get down to the ground and you listen to some of the feedback from the operators, all those within the value chain of the NHIS, you realize that many people find their ways around its operation to claim monies that maybe may not have been used or are using this ghost system, like we always say, to claim these monies. And these are some of the things that are being addressed by Madam Mary Ada. So it's something that has to be seriously looked at because, if we continue turning a blind eye on the corruption and how it's affecting the NHIS, then we know that we're going to be in very big trouble.
But conversations like this have been on the table for a very long time.
Yes, I do.
There are so many institutions here in Ghana that still experience these. A typical example, let me use the NSS. The ghost names thing that you
very
mentioned.
Well. Sure.
Unfortunately, it does happen. But really, when we come out like this and we speak about it, we throw caution out there. What are the things that are being done on grounds that is going to totally and completely curb this? That is my issue.
And interestingly, DR Congo, Rwanda, Zimbabwe, and Madagascar are all implementing these. And, I believe that, it's one thing. It's called the All-Inclusive Services Delivery Africa Project. And, it's just looking at how claims are being processed, okay? So it's a good thing for me. What is important is that we block the leakages as much as possible. We get close to 100%. There's nothing like 100% efficiency, but as much efficiency as possible so that, there are people who really need, the insurance. We all do need insurance, but when you look at the tiers of society, the demographics of society, there are those who really are in dire need of having. There are times when you go to a health facility, if the health insurance card is invalid or is non-admissible or is not admissible, you are able to immediately pay for your services and you are taken care of. But ask yourself about the person who doesn't even have the means and has this card as the only means of hope. So it's important that this is looked at so that we make some headway, like you're saying, we make some headway and we can measure how much we're doing in terms of bridging the gap and closing the gap when it comes to the leakages within the system in the NHIS. I believe we have another.
We have Bewa Sylvester. I think you should take that.
Hello, Bewa. Good morning. Hello, Bewa. Good morning. So just remember that there's the ID there on the bottom part of the screen and also the password. For those of you who want to...
Hello, good morning.
Very well. I can hear you loud and clear. Now I'd want to see you as well. Great, great, great. Good to see you. How are you doing this Friday morning? Very well. I can hear you loud and clear. Now I'd want to see you as well. Okay, Bewa, so I'm hearing all of those in your background. You haven't said anything yet. Good morning. How are you doing?
I think his television is on. So if you can just turn down the volume of your TV, because we're getting the feedback.
Very well. All right, so kindly go ahead with your thoughts on the main subject we're discussing today about the OSP removing Ken Ofori-Atta's name from the fugitive list.
Okay, so my contribution is on the fact that from the beginning, I think the OSP was in a haste to declare him a fugitive. But sometimes I think some issues have been influenced by political means. So I think the current action is just to recorrect the earlier mistakes. And maybe the next time the OSP will take its time in dealing with such issues. So I think it's a good move. Yes, he's just immediate past finance minister. And this will also help the OSP going forward in dealing with such issues of national interest. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Bewa. Thank you so much for your thoughts there. So everybody who also wants to join like Bewa and our first caller to express their views and their thoughts about the main subject, please go ahead and do so. Remember, you can join us via the Zoom ID. It's right there. And also the password is right there. Just log on and make sure that you adhere to all of our rules, and we're going to put you on so you can express your thoughts. Greetings to all of our friends who are watching us from all over Africa. Remember, you can tune into the show on 281 on DSTV, or on 281 on DSTV. Some more stories from the center spread of the Daily Graphic. And
Honorable, let's take another Zoom out,
Very well.
Then we can continue. Dave? Hi, Dave. Good morning to you. If you can hear me, please unmute.
Yes, hello. Good
morning. Hi, good morning. Talk to us.
Yeah, Nathaniel, how are you doing?
I'm great. Good to see you. Good morning.
Good to see you too. In fact, always on point in terms of your fashion.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And my lady too. In fact, I'm not actually leaving out.
Thank you so much. Talk to us.
Mine this morning is on salary increment. In fact, I'm actually looking at what's coming to my pocket.
Right.
We wish if government could actually do something about it again. So at least
that it should be more than the 10% rise.
Of course, my dear. In fact, we all understand. Price of goods have actually skyrocketed over the past few months, and it has not been easy. It's not been easy. So we wish something could be done about it again. Though they've actually ended with the negotiations, but I believe the president can, in his own wisdom, do something about it for us. And then the issue of the OSP, I don't know whether it was actually in a rush or something to come out and say something to actually ginger Ghanaians to appetite, and later on come back to say that maybe something
he's off the list.
So honestly, we actually need to take our time. We are a growing country, but we need to do things rightly so that with the younger ones, we are actually learning from the older ones. So at least we can actually do things rightly so that we know that due process and almost everything was followed. Not just to come and do the Rambo style and go back and say, he had been cleared. What actually warranted for his clearance? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Dave, for your contribution this morning. You can also join us on Zoom. The Zoom ID and password are currently on your screen. Or if you do not want us to see your face, you can go to our Facebook page. It is Joy Prime TV. Get into the comment section and send in your comments. But do not forget to hit the share button. And let's not also forget that Newsflash is proudly brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. What electrical appliance are you looking for? What gadgets are you looking forward to buying? Is it a phone, air conditioners, CCTV cameras, refrigerators, televisions? Franco Trading Enterprise has got you covered. You can visit their website, or you can just download the Franco Trading app on your phone. It's easier, it's faster. So if you're using a smartphone, just download the app. It is Franco Trading app on your phone, Android and iOS. You can get it on there, and you can have a very smooth transactions when it comes to buying any electrical gadget from Franco Trading Enterprise. All right, Nathaniel, we have another Zoomer on.
Very well.
Let's take that, and then we continue with the newspapers.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to Prime Morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
How are you doing? My name is Nathaniel.
Yeah, I'm Duncan. I'm doing well.
Very well. Great. Good to have you here. Let's go ahead with your thoughts on the issue. The OSP taking out Ken Ofori-Atta's name. Interesting thing is that It's already been published out there, and the top of mind awareness for many people is that the man is a wanted man.
You see, as a country, we have a long way to go when it comes to fighting corruption. What I've just observed about this whole conversation is that sometimes the politicians, let me put it in that quotes, they want to use the media and then the general public, they want to play with our mind. What they do is that, you see, when the issue came up, all the media houses were all talking about, say, the press conference. You see, I'm telling you, maybe by the end of this month, into next month, there will be another issue that will make Ghanaians forget about Ken Ofori-Atta. I'm telling you the truth. By the time Ken Ofori-Atta will return in May, but then probably there will be another issue, another present thing that the country is talking about. So it will take us almost getting to a year, but then all his plans and things that he's supposed to put in place have been done. So by the time he will get to Ghana, all of us have forgotten of the matter. It will be like, oh, we have sent it to court. We are going to investigate. We are going to do this. So how can an office like Special Prosecutor Office, you don't, let me use that, you don't know what you are doing. How can you tell me that this person is wanted and next day the person is no more wanted? Like, does it make sense to you? Like, how do you get this? So in actual fact, they have their agenda. They know what they are doing. So me, I don't believe in what those politicians get us to come and pull out there. If you want to pull them, you end up inheriting their enemies and even thinking overboard. But what they are doing, actually, and honestly, they have, if it's true that Ken Ofori-Atta have actually spent this country's money, or there's money spent illegal that we need to get that money from him. After the elections, if you think you can't work through, because the MP government was in power, after election, how many days? Since when Ken Ofori-Atta left the country? Did he hear anything about it? Did you tell that it was in process? Is that not it? So what have ended the process and he left and now you're not looking for him? It's a whole lot. I didn't think Ken Ofori-Atta just got up one day and left the country. He went to the airport. He went through processes before leaving the country. So why? If you wanted to arrest him, why didn't you do that? Later when you now come tell her he's sick and all that. My brother, this is just a tactics play. They know what they are doing. But let me land on the issue of allied health professionals because I'm one of them. My brother, it has been almost, let me say, for barely 45 years now. None of the allied health professionals have been employed in this country. And it's like the whole country is silent about it. The last time I spoke on your platform, we are sure that, when the health minister is on in, we hear good news from his camp as we speak. Even those that are the nurses that our colleague nurses, we call them our neighbors, we are all the same in the health sector. The nurses that they even employ, they're even thinking of trying to release them back again. It's a whole lot. Let's look at this last-minute employment issues. You understand? It's something that is, I think, going forward, the transition have to work on some of these states. Because, for instance, if I was posted to Bolga, I've left, let me say, Savannah region, or let me say, Buni East region to Bolga. Now you're not telling me that my appointment has been revoked, I have to go back home. Can you imagine this? Perhaps I've come to rent a place to live. And you're telling me that my appointment has been revoked, I have to go. It doesn't just make sense at all. And I can tell that recruitment is not just a one day, it's a process. So they started from somewhere and they ended somewhere. So if the federal government know that in their budget, it was not captured to post anyone or to employ people, how then do you spend your budget for it? You're not coming to recruit new staff again. What is all this is about? And these people are left walking around, nothing is happening to them. And they just put innocent people in trouble. Look at all these things. Does it make sense to us as a country? We are putting on the health minister that at least the allied health professionals who are at home, they also deserve better. My brother, we completed school not today. We have all the school fees we paid, all the practicals we went through, everything. Sometimes 4 years and you forget of what you have even learned in the school. Just pick a field like health information, for instance. Let's pick laboratory technicians, for example. Somebody who went to school to study laboratory technician, and the person who stayed in the house for 4 years. What would the person remember again? All the parasites, everything has gone out. The same thing applies to health information officers. After the person have used computer in school, learn everything to come and help the country. After national service, the person have been in the house for 3-4 years. And these same politicians will come and tell that they love us. I remember when NDC was in opposition, they were campaigning, MPP should post the allied health professional. Now you come to power, it's like you are quiet. You are thinking of salary, look at salary increment, 10%. The 10%, how about?
Very well.
Is that how the MPs are thinking? We heard an MP saying that the MPs are going to pay 15K, just 15K. So can you imagine 15K? And you increase someone who's taking, let me say, 2,000, you're increasing the salary by 10%. How many years will that person get the 15K that you are talking of? How many years will that person save to get that 15K? What are you doing to this country? The youth are just there.
I can imagine your frustration, and that also raises a lot of issues about what we're talking about government ensuring that some of these recruitments are sped up And
Yes.
key thing here is that, you know, these professionals are spread across the country. Remember, there was an Agenda 111 project that was started or that was embarked on by the previous government,
Yes.
the MPP government. Now, question is, what is the plan to ensure that these health facilities that are being constructed or are being constructed across the country become effective?
But let me put this on record that even as you speak, some of the hospitals are lacking staff. I can't remember the last time you went to a government hospital. Your lab will take you like 5 hours before you get your lab results, if not private hospital. It means that the lab technicians, there are few. Sometimes one person will manage the whole lab. You're supposed to employ more to help. But because I don't know where there's no money, I don't know what actually is the problem. They will freeze the employment there. And people are there struggling. You can go to one lab, someone has employed them for 20 years. And yet they have not replaced the person, they have not improved on a system. So one lab technician at the whole hospital. So you go there, they will take your sample, it will take like 3 hours. I've not seen your sample.
Very well. Very well. Thank you. You've raised
employment.
Very well. You've raised some very key points. These are all issues that we're going to be coming to as we go along. Thank you very much for your thoughts this morning on Prime Morning. So very, salient points being raised there, because you see, you put up the infrastructure, and how operational the infrastructure will be is also very, very key.
Yeah.
I've hosted the opening and the commissioning of quite a number of these hospitals. I remember the Accra East one, which now is fully functional, and we're awaiting the completion of the 500-bed hospital in Kumasi. There are a few technical issues in the background which have to be sorted. But he's raised a very important point about staffing, these facilities, and making sure that they are all integrated onto the payroll system so that everybody becomes comfortable. Because what is important is that if you are in distress and you are not well, you'd want to go to a health facility and you'd want a solution.
Yeah.
But you go there and it looks like your frustrations become more and your anxiety becomes more, and it even worsens your situation.
And even what is more concerning is if we are doing our very best as a country, if governments, every single government that comes into power is putting in everything they can to make sure that education is easily accessible to every single person. When you're done going through the necessary educational levels, let's say maximum university first degree, and after you're done, you are unable to acquire a job because there are no jobs available.
Well, so these are all, questions and answers that we'll be bringing to you and discussing thoroughly as we go along in subsequent editions of the show. Another friend of ours has joined us on Zoom. There are some more stories to share with you from the newspapers, but let's get on Zoom now and have a conversation with our next caller.
Yeah, we have Prince on. Hi, Prince.
Hi, morning.
Yes, good morning to you. Hope you're well.
Yeah, I'm doing well. How about you guys?
We are doing awesome. All right. We are listening to you.
First of all, I would want to talk about Ken's issue.
Sure.
I think whatever is going on now, the new directive from the OSP, I believe a clear communication has been sent out, letting people know that this government is here to do full business. I mean, he's not here to play around with anybody. So I think that communication has been sent out clearly that whoever messed up in the previous government will be severely dealt with. Health issues, whatever it is, I feel the investigations had already gone on, and then they knew he was sick. They knew the state in which he is now. And then I feel they know he can travel back. That's why the initial communication was sent out that he's a fugitive. But then what is going on now, I feel talks there have been some talks behind closed doors, and then they are trying to, manage the situation. That's how I feel. But then I think that shouldn't be the situation. If somebody is wrong, he's wrong. Let's set the president straight. Let people who who don't want to be accountable, so that this would follow. Governments that will come in would also follow the same path, so that Ghanaians will know that you can't just jump up there go and do whatever you like, and then leave without being accountable for anything. No. I mean, you are there to serve people. So if you go there and then you don't do the right thing or you go and mess up the place, I mean, you need to account for why the place is that messed up, so that at least the people who voted for whichever party would know that the country is moving forward. We can't keep going back and forth. Yes, we can't keep going back and forth with all these things. And then with this salary increment, I believe the current government has done well. Okay. Even though people are complaining, the 10% is not good enough. Fine. But then we've had a government who has been in power for 8 years. You people didn't complain about even 1% increase. He didn't do anything. So if somebody has been in power for less than 60 days, and then he has been able to put a 10% increase out there for you guys, at least you should be grateful. Okay. Let's stop being ungrateful. Let's stop politicizing everything in Ghana. All right, Prince. That mindset, I believe we should brush all these things aside and then move on move forward as intellect and stop this politics all the time. When the previous government was in place, all right, Prince. Challenges. Right. We had challenges with schools and all that, school feeding and all that. But people were not that aggressive. But when this government came into power, just some few days, headmasters and everybody was out there. They didn't have food to feed their kids. I mean, what is all this? So let's give this man some time. And then I believe things would be okay. Okay, Prince. Thank you so much for your contribution this morning. We indeed have to give this current government some time. It is something that I was talking about. I have been talking about this, Nathaniel, since last year, that one thing I have realized about Ghanaians is our level of impatience. When you promise us that this is what you're going to do, we expect that it is done, with a snap of the fingers, it's just done. But we are highly impatient. But things cannot be done if we are going to grow this level, or we are going to be at this level of impatience. Little drops of water do make a mighty ocean. So let's take our time. Let's give them some breathing space and let them operate. And within this 150 days, with all that this government has promised that they are going to do, let's be patient and see how it all pans out, okay? Yeah, all right. Quick run through these so that you can also bring us what's happening in the Chronicle. So our forest reserves are under threat. Let's protect them. And this is according to the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Honorable Emmanuel Ama Kofi Boa. Do remember that there are some very staggering statistics. Now, 9 out of the 44 forest reserves in the country have been completely taken over by illegal miners. And the big question we're asking ourselves is, where are we in the fight? Now, are we saying that, our security agencies don't have the capability, don't have the numbers and the logistics to clamp down very heavily on these illegal miners? I mean, once it is determined that these miners are using the illegal methods, the obsolete methods to mine these minerals and are having an effect on the environment, then obviously the security agencies have to go in and do what they have to do. And, do remember that there are issues of deposits of lead which are affecting our water bodies and having a ripple effect on consumption. There was a documentary that we had here, in the multimedia group, specifically on the Joy News channel, which started targeting some persons in these communities who were giving birth, women were giving birth to children who were deformed as a result of consuming the water, the polluted water in these communities. So we have to be very, very serious about this. And this has to be treated as a red alert national disaster. Because if we don't, and we keep beating about the bush and giving figures and giving, all sorts of statistics and just sitting back, then we're going to pay the price very, very heavily and dearly. Already, when you talk to the agronomists, and they will tell you this very, very much for free, that restoring large acreage of forest land takes quite a while. And remember, as you deplete these forests, you're also depleting the production of oxygen and how it's also affecting the
cycle, the movement of air and its quality and all of that. So for me, it's important that we hit the ground running. Let's hit the ground running and let's get it out.
Now.
Yes, let's hit the ground running. This is an emergency.
Yeah.
And you see, there's so many factors, there's so many drivers. Poverty, for instance, is one of them.
Yeah.
So you go to a cocoa farm, and the cocoa farmer is telling you that my yield doesn't bring me as much as these galamsey people are bringing me. So you know what? Cut the trees and just get the job done.
And that's actually what happened. That has really happened. There have been videos circulating on social media where cocoa trees and, you know, other plantations here and there are being cut down, all in the search of gold.
Unfortunate. And finally, on this particular matter, the incidence of lack of education is also a part of it, because in these communities you find very high levels of lack of education, and because of that they are unaware of the effects that this illegal mining is having on the environment, and for that matter their own people, their own wives and their own children. Quickly before we wrap up with the Daily Graphic, Chinese Learning Center for West Africa established at the University of Cape Coast. Now Mandarin is penetrating gradually, and this is all part of the grand scheme by China to continue to be a world superpower, you know, and they started a long time ago. What I'll just say is that they planned, they reached out to Africa through the AU many years ago, where they offered to build the headquarters of the AU. I have different views about it. Now, this is what they're doing. And what they're doing is that they come from the side very quietly.
Yeah.
You know, they won't tell you that you have...
penetrating bit by bit.
Bit by bit. And they get their job done. They infiltrate. They bring their market to you. And they take over your market. They give you the loans, they give you the grants, and at the end of the day, it all works back.
You know, speaking about giving the loans and giving the grants, you see that the suspension that US aid, President Trump has placed on US aid, well, it looks like China is looking forward to filling that void.
And of course, we'll be getting to the publisher very shortly. Let's quickly speak to our next caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right. Good to see you. Good to see you. My name is Nathaniel. What's yours?
Michael Asari.
Michael, good to see you. Let's roll. And if you can adjust so the light faces you so we can see you clearly. Very well, very well. There we go.
Okay. So I just want to contribute to the...
This is okay. This is just okay. Stay right there.
So the 10% increase by the government.
Kindly go ahead.
I believe this has been the trajectory over the years, and as a new government, I don't expect him to do, more than 10%. From last year and previously, this has been the trend. However, I believe the focus, not just about the revenue or the income, but what can also government do to curtail maybe the cost of the living. Even if he has increased it to, let's say, 15% or 20%, and we are still having high inflation, high exchange rate, and other macroeconomic factors, it is still drain the money that the government is bringing in. So I believe that the onus lies on the government to come out with pragmatic measures to see how best, inflation and the other ones can be curtailed. But just to summarize it, I believe as much as we are always on government also to increase salaries, we in the public service, I believe we are also having a social contract with our clients and our customers. I believe we must also intensify our customer service, giving the best of customer care to people who also access service. So I believe as public service, in as much as we talk about salary increments, we must also talk about, production within the public space.
Okay.
Because it's very important.
All right.
Always we talk about government increment, but what about, production also within the public space compared to the private? Yes,
all right.
I think the government can do better, but we can also do better in that regard. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, too, for your contribution. We are pressed for time, and so we have a number of Zoomers on. What we are going to do, we are going to give you 30 seconds. Within 30 seconds, when we say your Zoom ID, quickly, please come on and unmute and just start talking. So who do we have next? Do we have another Zoomer on?
Hello.
Abdul. Hi, Abdul. Good morning to you. Abdul, I can't hear you. Kindly unmute. Hello?
Oh, yeah, hello. I said,
Hi. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you and Nathaniel.
Yeah.
Good morning.
All right. Please, 30 seconds. Let us know what your view is this morning.
All right. With regards to the OSP issue with Ken, in my opinion, I think that it is unfortunate. You see, the entire office, it should be scrapped. He was 6 years old, and they have been able to prosecute one person, and they were spending our monies. That year, 6 years now, that was being able to prosecute one person. So, what what at all are you doing there? They were doing which hand? They were making noise, and this and this. They can't be able to even prosecute one person.
Yeah.
And again, prior to the election, they were saying, with regards to the Galamsey, that the ridiculous state of emergency. And now, what I'm saying, they were still there. So the government should be able to declare state of emergency right now to be able to fight the Galamsey distance fight.
All right, Abubakar. Yes, yes.
All right.
Abdul. Yes, thank you so much for your contribution this morning. We hope to see your lovely face again next week, Friday, as well. Enjoy the rest of your day. Nathaniel, please take the next
right,
remark. They have 30 seconds.
Good morning. All right, good morning. All right, so just before we go to our next caller, let's quickly look at the Ghanaian publisher. Unfortunately, the Ghanaian publisher doesn't have a page 3, it's blank. So this is feedback to their printers. Rededicate to democracy.
There are actually 2 pages that are blank.
Yeah, Akufo-Addo to African leaders, former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. This is his first major public appearance after leaving office. And also, Mohammed's cabinet has space for only 2 women. One of them is Honorable Elizabeth Ofosu-Ejare, who's the trade minister. Okay, so we'll go to our next caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Trust you're doing well. Welcome to Prime Morning. Kindly go ahead with your thoughts.
Thank you. Good morning to your listeners and yourself. So, the Ken issue with the special prosecutor, I think a special prosecutor could have handled the issues better. Because in any case, if you have correspondence with somebody, why do you go ahead to declare the person fugitive when you can communicate with such person? So when the matter came up and the declaration came, people draw such conclusion and were asking questions why special prosecutors should go ahead and declare Ken fugitive. And they themselves came out to deny such fact and said it was in the right direction. But later on, they came out to withdraw, confirming such the issue that people raised that at least we should have gotten there. And for me, it's not about this case, but it's about the general corruption in this country, and that the OSP, the trust we have in the office of the OSP must be maintained. And then when OSP is dealing with the public, they should exercise some constraint and do their homework before they come out. Other than that, if they lose public support, the office is bound to also fail.
Very well.
So we have confidence in that office, and then we wish them well. And then we are trying to tell them that anytime they come out, they should try to manage public expectations very well, so that the support they have from the general public will continue, so that we're able to move forward as a country. Because corruption is a mass that we must fight in this country. Thank you.
Very well, very well. Thank you very much. We'll go to our final caller. Another 30 seconds to contribute to the conversations. Good morning.
Good morning.
Richard, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking.
How are you?
Hi, Richard. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Where is KMJ and Roslyn?
So KMJ has traveled briefly. He's on an assignment, and so is Roslyn. So they'll be back on Monday.
Okay, he has traveled to Libya again. All right. But try and look for Akismi. I beg you, try and look for Akismi.
We'll look for him. We'll look for him. He didn't join again today, which is pretty sad. We hope he joins in next week.
Okay, I'll try and contact him. So special greetings to Honorable Dr. Ochedakume, Satakadu MP, then our incoming Dachin in Chemambasti. Now, fast forward, I'll make it snappy.
I don't need much of your time. Just 10 seconds, I'll try and do that.
Okay.
In relation to the 10% increment in government worker salary, I've seen that some people are praising the current government for it. Some are also bashing. Just last year, the current government increased from 22 to 23 to 25%. Now they called him and gave him several names that Nanado is a Nebuchadnezzar and so on. So what other name? I don't want to use your normal platform to give a name for that. Someone who increased government workers to 25% and a new king whom people claim trusted that he is the Messiah has just given you 10%. And people are defending this. People are happy with it, that he has given them 10%. Then to the same issue, I at times sometimes blame the media stations. A lot of you people back the then government, galamsey. But after
all right, so so a quick follow-up on what he was just saying. I mean, so when we make such definitive statements, I will task you to give me names of these media houses that are backing Galamsey. That's what he just said. And that is a very big indictment on any media house that backs Galamsey in quotes. So unfortunately, his line couldn't be our best friend. Otherwise, I'd wanted to ask
But we
him.
have never backed.
Yes, I mean, what we have done is
to
have a sustained fight to bring the stories just as they are to the people.
Just as
yes, let's quickly take our final caller now. Last of last callers. Okay. Good morning. All right, can you unmute so we hear you?
Good morning to you.
Good morning and welcome to Prime Morning.
Thank you very much. The golden girl, why are you laughing?
Hi, Master Planner. Golden boy, good morning to you.
Good morning. Where's my friend KMJ?
Oh, KMJ is on an assignment. Yeah, he'll be back. You'll see him next week, God willing.
Okay. My good friend is doing a fantastic job. I think putting
Nathaniel
UX on the spot, asking questions, it makes the conversation well structured. Thank you for doing marvelous work.
Thank you.
Let me say a special good morning to Good Ernest, is TESCOM president of Kentampo College of Health. Tomorrow, God willing, TESCOM will be having freshness orientation and all these stuffs, and we are urging everyone to come 11 a.m. Talking about Galamsey, I think the politicization of the Galamsey is one of the key things that is what has become an impediment of this action, because both MPP and NDC during campaign time, they try to score political points from this fight. When you are in opposition, the drums you drum and the kind of dance you dance according to it is different to when you are in power. So when you tell me in opposition that, oh, when I come, I'm going to free all those that have been arrested due to Galamsey, when I come, this political party in power is not fighting. There are more MPP doing Galamsey than NDC. How will you win this fight? You have to come together, both MPP and NDC, because the Galamsey, the effect doesn't know political colors. You have to involve the chiefs in all the locality, all the local area. That is how you fight Galamsey. But if you politicize it, you are not going to win this fight. And then let me land on this issue of...
Yeah, very briefly so that we can wrap up. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, the salary increment, I think we all know how the economy is. 10% is not all that bad. But because of how we politicize issues, that's why we are facing challenges. Sometimes, even the previous government, and then another, I think, is in 2017 or so, he gave us, I think, is it 7% plus 3 or something like that. We will take it like that. But in 2020, 2021, there was a massive improvement because the economy was somehow good, according to the experts. So we are begging, the 10%, although it's not encouraging, but let's embrace.
All right, Golden Boy, thank you so much. He was able to make all of his points and land just before the line froze. Okay, so let's quickly go to the headlines before we wrap it up.
Okay, all right. So the Chronicle, we have Chinese remanded into custody over alleged attempt to commit murder. And then we have bullets fired by customs officers cause havoc at Sugakofe. And then the banner headline is foreign aid is simply not good. And that is from former President, His Excellency Ken Ofori-Atta. He reiterates this in Nigeria.
And just before we go, a very quick one. It's on page 7 on the Ghanaian Publisher. The president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Albert Kwabena Jomfo, is tasking government to go ahead with the investigation into the murder of Ahmed Swale, the journalist. And, he wants to see some action go into this. So these are things that we're going to... And the firebrand, GJA president, he's been very, very aggressive when it comes to advocacy. So let's see how all of this ends. He says that they want to proceed to the ECOWAS court if the police fail in this country. But you see...
That'll be perfect.
By the dictates and doings of international law, it doesn't become easier or it doesn't become more effective. In fact, all the countries that sign up to international law, have their own independent laws that work within their respective nations. And adhering to some of these laws become very, very difficult and very, very tedious. We'll be going into that on another day when we get into this particular subject.
All right, we'll definitely do that. All right, okay, and that's it for the Newsflash segment. My name is Asiedua Akomia. Nathaniel Atto did this with me this morning, but I did say earlier that you can share your views with us on our Facebook page. So please, I want to read just a few messages on our Facebook page so that they also feel included. Musa Abattoir says, President Mahama has shown true leadership by securing a 10% minimum wage increase, offering relief to workers amid the economic crisis caused by Ekufuor-Addo and Bawumia. His commitment to rebuilding the economy is commendable, and we appreciate organized labor for their role in the negotiations. As he calls for cooperation, it's crucial we all support efforts to restore Ghana's economic dignity. And the last one, Solomon Yantechi says, the OSP claims that the reason he called Ofori-Atta stemmed from his first letter, in which he stated that he had left the country permanently and would not be returning. For this reason, he says it is hard to understand why someone would label the OSP as political. You cannot avoid responsibility when your actions resulted in the suffering and even death of people whose only transgression was to entrust their life savings to the government. And these are a few comments that we picked up from our Facebook page. So thank you to every single one of you who joined us during the Newsflash segment. Let's not forget the Newsflash segment is proudly brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. What electrical gadget are you looking forward to buying? If you're looking for quality, if you're looking for it lasting very long, trust me, you need to trust in Franco Trading Enterprise. Go there and purchase any gadget, CCTV cameras, refrigerators, televisions. What is it that you're looking for? They've got you covered. You can download the app on your phone. It is Franco Trading app, or you can just contact either of the numbers currently on your screens or visit their website, www.francotrading.com.